Good day, everyone. Today, we are going to discuss about the earthquakes and faults. Did you know that the Philippines is located on the Pacific Ring of Fire? That is why one of the most frightening and destructive natural phenomena in the Philippines is the earthquake. The Philippines experiences regular earthquakes and even volcanic eruptions due to its location on the Pacific Ring of Fire, an arc of seismic faults around the ocean. Earthquakes occur on faults. When an earthquake occurs on one of these faults, the rock on one side of the fault slips with respect to the other. Earthquakes are usually caused when underground rock suddenly breaks and there is a rapid motion along a fault. What is an earthquake? Where does it start? An earthquake is a weak to violent shaking of the ground produced by the sudden movement of rock materials below the Earth's surface. The earthquakes originate in the tectonic plate boundary. The focus is the point inside the Earth where the earthquake started, sometimes called the hypocenter. And the point on the surface of the Earth, directly above the focus, is what we call the epicenter. Sometimes, an earthquake has foreshocks. These are smaller earthquakes that happen in the same place as the larger earthquake that follows. Scientists can tell that an earthquake is a foreshock until the larger earthquake happens. The largest, or the main earthquake, is called the main shock. Main shocks always have aftershocks that follow. These are smaller earthquakes that occur afterwards in the same place as the main shock. Take note, if it happened before the largest one, it is a foreshock. If it happened after the largest, it's an aftershock.
Hi, good day everyone. I am Jhelnerlouie Casimero and we're going to move forward to the types of earthquake. There are two types of earthquakes. Number 1, tectonic earthquake. It occurs when a part of the Earth's crust break and the rocks together with the fault slide near each other or far away from each other. This is often called faulting. Number 2, volcanic earthquake. This is caused by the movement of magma beneath the surface of the Earth. The movement results in pressure changes, where the rock around the magma has experienced stress. At some point, this stress can cause the rock to break or moves. Tremors are often produced to an upcoming discharge at this vicinity or region. The seismic waves travel outwards from the focus in all directions when energy is released, and the experts in this field are called seismologists. Seismic waves is the energy released during an earthquake is carried by vibration. There are three basic types of seismic waves. Number 1, the P waves. Fastest waves travel through solid, liquid, and gases. The second is the S wave. Slower than the P wave, travel only through solid. And the last one is the surface wave. Slower than P waves and S waves, but usually produce larger ground movement and greater damage. There are two major scales in which earthquakes are measured. Number 1, magnitude. Magnitude is the entire energy released by an earthquake at its focus. Earthquakes of large magnitude are stronger and typically more destructive than those of smaller magnitude. The magnitude is measured in Richter scale. Number 2, intensity is measured in terms of its geological effects and the general damage it brings or the intensity of shaking. An earthquake's intensity becomes weaker when it's farther away from the epicenter. The intensity is measured using the Mercalli scale. How can scientists tell where the earthquake happened? Triangulation can be used to locate an earthquake. The seismometer are shown as green dots. The calculated distance from each seismometer to the earthquake is shown as circle. The location where all the circles intersect is the location of an earthquake epicenter.
What is faults?
Faults is a break in the Earth's crust along which significant movement has taken place. Let's first determine the difference between the fault plane, hanging wall, and the fault wall. The fault plane is where the action is. It is a flat surface that may be vertical or sloping. As with normal and reverse faults, the upper side is hanging wall and the lower side is the fault wall. Now let's talk about the types of faults: reverse fault, normal fault, and strike-slip fault. What causes faults on Earth's surface? Faults on Earth are caused by stress created by two blocks or rock. These types of stress can be tensional, that stretches the rock, compressional, that pushes rock together, and shearing stress can cause masses of rock to slip. What type of fault is tension stress? Tension stress occurs when two blocks or rocks separate from one another. Tension stress creates a type of fault known as normal fault. Now let's talk about the normal fault. In a normal fault, the hanging wall slips down relative to the fault wall. These faults are called normal because this is what you would normally expect the faults to do. And also, normal faults are common along divergent boundaries. These are examples of normal fault. The reverse fault. A reverse fault occurs when the hanging wall moves up the fault wall. These are called reverse because this is the reverse of what you expect as a result of gravity. Reverse faults occur as a result of compression, which is stress that squeezes the rocks together. Inabanga Bohol is an example of reverse fault. Last, the strike-slip fault. The blocks move past each other horizontally. A strike-slip fault occurs due to the shear stress, which pushes the rocks horizontally but in the opposite direction. Strike-slip faults are common along transform boundaries like the San Andreas Fault. Do you live near an active fault? An active fault, it is one that has moved in the past and is expected to move again. It has generated earthquakes before and is capable of causing more in the future. On the other hand, inactive fault is confined within the lower sediments. It does not cut or reform the younger strata.
Is there an active fault passing by your town, province, or region? If so, are you and your family prepared for the occurrence of an earthquake?
So now, let us know what to do before, during, and after the earthquake. Since we can predict when an earthquake will occur, even the scientists, doing some preliminary safety measures will help us to prevent high damage before, during, and after the disaster occurs. Before the earthquake, prepare an emergency kit. It should consist of necessary things for survival such as canned goods, a flashlight, water, and etc. Know your emergency route. Make a plan of where to meet your family after an earthquake. Don't leave heavy objects on shelves. Secure things that could potentially fall on you during an earthquake. During an earthquake, if you are in outdoors, stay in the open area away from power lines, tall buildings, or anything that might fall. If you are indoors, stand against a wall near the center of the building or even stand in a doorway or crawl under heavy furniture. Do drop, cover, and hold. Drop down to your knees, take cover, get under a sturdy table, hold one of the table legs, and wait until the shake stops. As much as possible, stay away from windows and outside doors. And after the earthquake, check yourselves and others for injuries. Provide first aid for anyone who needs it. Stay out on the damaged buildings and areas. Be careful around the broken glass and debris. If you're at school or work, Follow the emergency plan or instruction of the person in charge. Always suspect that after an earthquake, there is an aftershocks. Earthquakes have a devastating impact on communities around the world. Not only do they claim lives, but they can also cause damage to critical infrastructure, housing, and other basic services. By better understanding the causes and effects of earthquakes and their impacts on the buildings, infrastructure, and society, we can reduce the damage and loss of life caused by the earthquakes. And that is all for today's discussion. We hope you have learned something valuable from this video. This is Mary Angel Buli.
Jhelnerlouie Casimero.
Angel Caramba.
Thank you and God
God
bless.
bless.